car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
Well, I got some good news for you. The owner of Frontier Motors has joined us. That won't be a surprise to you regular listeners because he's here almost every Monday and Friday, unless otherwise occupied or a big holiday gets in the way. He is prepared, ready, willing, and more than able to supply you with valuable information. He can give you the price of a car or a truck or an SUV that you're thinking of buying or selling or trading in, but it won't happen by itself. You have to call. Call 478-3116 for the remainder of this half hour. This is the Talk at 10 show. Well, it's the Frontier Motors edition of the Talk at 10 show on News Talk 1370 WCOA. I refer, of course, to the owner of Frontier Motors, Iven Streckel. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Don. Thanks for the introduction. And we're going to be doing a double format once again, which means we are live on the radio, 1370 Talk Radio, AM radio. We've been doing this show for going on 20 years now. We're also videotaping this for our Blab TV, cable, and satellite subscribers. So if you're watching this on TV, this probably isn't a live show, so don't bother calling in. But we do have a phone number at the bottom of the screen, so if you have any questions about this show or what some of the subjects that we're going to cover, go ahead and call that phone number, and hopefully we'll have somebody there to answer your questions. A couple of things that we do here on the show. One of the things is we talk about the car industry a little bit, what's going on, what's new and improved. A little bit about Consumers Reports, which cars they rate and how they rate them, and also about pricing. And I think that's one of the things, I think that's the most important thing that we cover is how do we arrive at a price when we talk about appraising a used car, and how do different dealerships do it? And also, what do the bankers use as far as their books are concerned? And we'll start on that, and that is the NADA guidebook. I'm holding in my hands. It's a gold-colored NADA guidebook. These guidebooks have been around for a long time, and this is the official version that you can't get on the internet. When you Google used car prices, you're going to come up with an Edmunds, a Kelly Blue Book, and a consumer's version of the NADA. We use an official edition that you can't get unless you're a banker or a credit union or an insurance company or a car dealership. Now, the reason we use this book is because that's what the bankers use. And that's why it's very important, because a banker will use that not so much to appraise a car, hopefully, but to tell you what the book value of the car is. The other book that we use is a black wholesale guidebook. It looks a little like the one I'm holding up. It's a black book that has been around since I've been in the car business. I started in the car business when I was 15 years old. And I remember the managers got very upset at a salesperson if he left one of these books laying on their desk, only because it shows what a dealer might pay for a particular car. Of course, they didn't want you to know that, because if you knew what they paid, maybe you would make a lower offer. Some dealers do have a tendency to charge more than they should. We'll get into that in a bit. The other book that we use is New Car Cost Guide. If you are thinking about buying a brand new car, which of course is my job to talk you out of that, but if you are thinking about buying a brand new car, we also have the cost guides. In Consumers Reports, on the back of Consumers Reports, you can buy a report for an invoice. On one car, they charge $14. In other words, they feel that if you know what the dealer's paying for a car, it's going to help you negotiate your best possible deal. While at Frontier Motors, you don't have to pay $14. I can give you that information for free. One of the things that we also talk about on a consistent basis is that Frontier Motors sells used cars. We don't sell new cars, even though we have cars on the lot that have very low miles on them. I'm looking at a Camry or a Corolla we've got on the lot with 30 miles on it, a Tacoma with 200 miles, an F-150 with 300 miles, a Hyundai Genesis with 300 miles, Hyundai Sonata with 1,000 miles. I can go on and on and on. Last time I counted, we have 100 cars on the lot that had less than 15,000 miles on it. And the rest of the cars, we've got 400 cars in inventory right now. And really what we specialize in, if we were to specialize in anything, would be the alternative to new. And one of the money gurus, Dave Ramsey, always talks about Frontier Motors, about the fact that he only will endorse an independent used car dealership, and he endorses Frontier Motors in the Pensacola area. One of the reasons is because of our better business score. We have been in business for going on 21 years, and we have yet to have a complaint, which is unheard of in the used car industry, because obviously issues come up. And one of the issues that normally comes up is not so much the pricing of a car. It's usually what happens after the car is purchased and something happens to the car where it breaks. And I remember I was telling Don about this. This was a couple years ago. Don, remember the story about the young kid that bought a car at a franchise dealership?
Right.
And he bought a pickup truck on Saturday. The drivetrain fell out on Sunday. Of course, he took it back to the dealership. This is a franchised car dealer in Pensacola. I was going to say in Car City. And they pulled out the sales contract, and they told him, hey, you signed in what's called an as-is guide. You know what that is? As-is means you bought it as is. So we're not doing nothing. Of course, that young man came to Frontier Motors. The reason I heard about it is because he told me a story. The dealer didn't tell me a story. Is that he came and he traded the vehicle in at Frontier Motors, and he said, I'll never do business with that dealer again. And this is one of the things I'm talking about, that you can easily get a customer complaint on a Better Business Bureau if you treat your customers like that. Now, legally, the young gentleman didn't have a leg to stand on. He did sign the as-is. But from a moral basis, if you buy a car and 2 days later, or actually the next day, something major happens to the car, I would think that the dealer would do something for you.
Would you? How would you have handled it?
I would have paid for the whole thing. The drive axle, he said, cost $1,600. I would just wrote him a check for $1,600. Go fix it wherever you want, or bring it to us and we'll fix it for free.
Right.
Now, I could have split it with him. I could have said, I'll take care of a third of it. I could have done anything. But that is better than what he got, which was nothing. And not only that, it was rude. He says they were rude. They were basically saying, get off the lot. You already bought the car. And that, to me, is one of the reasons the car industry has the reputation that it has. And, of course, that's one of the reasons that we started doing the show almost 21 years ago, is to talk about the fact that there are some car dealerships out there that aren't like the rest of them. And we try to put ourselves, Frontier Motors, in that classification by doing the right thing. Now, of course, things can break, and there's going to be a statute of limitations. Don, you bought a car from us a couple years ago.
Right, and I've been meaning to talk to you about that one I traded in a couple years ago.
I'm not fixing nothing, Don. All right,
Fine.
A couple years is a little bit over the norm when we start waving the magic wand and saying, take care of it yourself. You, as the customer, do have to have some responsibility for the car. But if something breaks right after we sell it, I can pretty much say it was probably already a pre-existing condition. Yeah. And I would feel pretty bad about it. Now, we tell our customers also that we have a 90-day warranty. Any car, Don, that we sell that's less than 15 years old, that has less than 150,000 miles on, we put a 3-month powertrain warranty on, which means that drive axle from that young gentleman would have been completely covered by an insurance policy.
I'm with you.
There's a $200 deductible, and I'll bet you I would have paid that deductible for the young man, because I would have felt so bad. I would have been embarrassed that he bought a car from us, and then 2 days later, or actually it was a Saturday and a Sunday, the drive axle fell out of it. He actually had to pull over on the expressway and run back and get it so nobody else would kill themselves by running into his drive shaft. His drive shaft fell out. Now, it's a freak thing.
I understand.
It's a very freak thing, but obviously that was a pre-existing condition.
478-3116, that's the magic phone number to speak with Iven Streckel. He, of course, is with Frontier Motors. We, of course, would be pleased to hear from you. We've got, a good 20 minutes left in the show today. Mr. Streckel is ready to answer questions that you might have, prices, comments, questions, anything about the car business. Now, as he will explain to you in a minute, this is sort of a dual-purpose show, but I'll tell you that from the radio side, call us at 478-3116. Don't hesitate, of course, to go to his car lot at 230 Beverly Parkway, because that's where he is located, 230 Beverly Parkway. It's just past Highway 29 on what was Brent Lane, but then became Beverly Parkway. Look for all the cars in the big 14-foot Buffalo. We'd be happy to hear from you. Sir, would you be willing to take a phone call?
Sure, if you got one coming in there.
I will be happy to arrange it. Hi, you're on the air with Iven Streckel. Thank you for calling.
Compliment you on one of your sales guys. Joe was just a pleasure to work with. We did not buy from you, but it wasn't because of Joe or because of anything at your business. It was because you didn't have the vehicle that we wanted, and we had to have it immediately. My car actually died.
Oh, no.
And we had to have something quickly. But I'll tell you, we were very satisfied, even though we didn't buy from you, and we certainly will shop there again.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out to call the show. I appreciate that, and good luck with your new purchase. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling. And one of the things we always talk about is that we don't sell everybody that walks a car. Matter of fact, we give so much free advice for people that are going to buy somewhere else. And that's what it's all about. Like this gentleman here, I don't get mad that somebody buys a car somewhere else, because I know that's not the last car he's ever going to buy. And the whole thing about how we treat our customers when they come in, we want to make sure that if they walk out and don't buy, that they're still happy and think good, positive things about the dealership. Where some dealerships actually get an attitude like they're the only ones on the planet. Last time I counted, I think there was 127 car dealerships in Pensacola. There was like 17 new, and the rest of them were all used car dealerships. Some of them are really small. I passed one on the way over here the other day. They had 4 cars in inventory, and some of them are pretty large. Like we have 400 cars in inventory. You got Sandy Stansing that has 5 or 6 dealerships. They got 1,500 cars in inventory.
I wonder if I'm the only one listening to this last call that is thinking, did I just hear that right? The guy called up to tell you he did not buy from you, but he's willing to do it in the future. I mean, that's a little unusual.
Well, it happens. It actually isn't that unusual, Don, because we talk about what we do is we give free advice. And a lot of that advice that we give is for people that are buying somewhere else. And what they'll do, Don, they'll call us up and say, hey, I found this car over at Allen Turner. It's a used car, and it's a 2015 Ford Fusion. And they're charging $19,000 for it. Can you tell me if that's a good deal or not? And that's where we come in. And I'll tell you, folks, we don't kink the other dealer's deal. If it's a good deal, we'll tell you. And people really appreciate that. If it's a little bit high, we'll tell you that too. And we'll normally use our inventory as a judge, because with having 400 cars in inventory, if we have that Fusion sitting there and I can sell it for $19,000, I would tell you if he's got it for sale for $19,000, I'll do the Carfax for you, which they do, by the way, also. But a lot of dealerships either do a Carfax or they do an auto check. We do both. And the reason we do that is because sometimes that they have conflicting details of what they show. I did one this morning. I appraised a car. I get up about 4 o'clock in the morning, start appraising some private individual cars that are either on Craigslist or eBay or Auto Trader. And I appraised one this morning that was a car that I wanted. It was an SL 550 Mercedes convertible. It had 14,000 miles on. This particular car had a clean Carfax report, but the auto check showed a major accident, which is unusual because normally Carfax has more information than auto check. But the Carfax hadn't had that reported yet on that particular car. Maybe the accident was out of state, I don't recall, but it kept me from making an offer on that car. Now, of course, I would take that car and trade even if it was an accident. But as far as going out, this was about a $70,000 car. I wasn't going to go out and buy a $70,000 car that had been in a major accident. And that's one of the reasons that what we do is if you call us with the ID number of the car you're looking at, we don't charge you that $45 for the Carfax, which that's how much it costs to run a Carfax these days. We pay one price, and I can run as many as I want. So we offer this service because we want to make sure that we give you the proper advice and that we help you buy a car somewhere. And you know what? It really has made us the number one independent dealership in the area. And one reason is because people say, wow, just like this gentleman that called, he said, wow, I can't believe those guys were giving me the information and helping me out, knowing I wasn't going to buy a car. Normally they'd say, get the heck off the lot if you're not buying. In our case, what we say, come on in, and we do this all day long. And when you come to Frontier Motors, you're going to see that our salespeople are busy all day long, and they're not always selling cars. They're giving it free advice. It's not just the managers. It's actually the salespeople doing something for nothing, if you can believe that. A salesman doing something for nothing, because you know salespeople get paid commission, so they only make money if they sell something.
Right.
Our guys are trained to help you because they know that sooner or later, you're going to send them a customer. So they take the time to help appraise the car. They'll scan the ID number. They do all the legwork for the manager so I can give you a proper appraisal on a Carfax report. They can pull up the NADA. They can pull up the Carfax report, but we will sit down and take some time and show you what to pay. And our salespeople and our managers do that because they know that one of these days you're going to find somebody that says, hey, where should I go to buy a car? Well, I didn't buy my car from Frontier, but I went there and they did all this work for nothing. And I would suggest that you stop at Frontier and give them a shot. And like I said before, when I talk about what we specialize in, it's not only cars that have really low miles on them. Looking at all these hundreds of cars that we have that have under 10,000 miles on them. I mean, pages and pages of them. But it's really also how we go about doing the business. And I don't like sitting there negotiating for hours. I think that's a waste of time. I know what I paid for the car. I kind of know what I want to make when I sell the car. So why don't I just add that together and give you the price? And make sure that when I give you that price, I go on my little secret program that I have. It's called Price Driver, and tells me what every other car like that is selling for in my area. I had this happen the other day where I was selling a Range Rover to a customer. And they were telling me about the ones that they found over in Destin that was the same price as ours. Ours had 25,000 miles on it, and the other one in Destin had 6,000 miles on it. And I thought, that's interesting. I pride myself in having a better deal. So I got on the website, I found that car, and I found out that that car was a base model, and mine was an HSE Supercharged Sport, which has a base price difference of $7,000. So I did have more miles on my car, which, by the way, was still in their factory warranty. It was the same price as theirs. It was a better color. Mine was pearl white. Theirs was green. And I shouldn't say a better color, but most people, they would think that's a better color. But I had a truck that was $7,000 more for the same price. That's one of the things that we talk about. If we're not the best price, we want to make sure that we have the most equipment, the lowest miles, or the most important thing, the best condition. And we never talk about condition enough. And that's one of the things sometimes I get mad at the bankers a little bit because they have this NEDA book, and they'll open this book up and they'll say that, this 2004 Volvo 40 has a retail of $5,700. They never ask you anything about the car. They never ask you how many owners. They never ask you the color. They never ask you if it's been in an accident. They never ask you if it's been smoked in. They don't ask you about dings and dents. They just say it's worth $5,700. And that's where we come in. We do what I consider real appraisals, and that's even on the competition. So if you find a car out there, sometimes the book value is actually lower than the selling price. And a prime example is a Wrangler. For any of you out there that have a 2000 to 2005 Wrangler, and let's say it's got 70,000 miles on it, the books are way too low on them. The book might say it's worth $5,700, and they're selling for $8,500. Now, why the books don't catch up is beyond me. I don't make the rules. But I can give you my opinion based on experience. Let's talk about models a little bit. Kia, according to J.D. Power, led all brands for the first time in 27 years for non-premium brand that topped the rankings as far as reliability. Isn't that something? I've been talking about Kia and Hyundai for years. If you don't know this, Kia and Hyundai are kind of like kids and cousins. Hyundai owns a portion of Kia. So a lot of times they'll build the same types of cars except put different stickers on them. But the Kia, and I don't know why Kia was above Hyundai, but they're very close. But Kia and Hyundai are some of the best brands out there. And we've got a Kia Motorsports, I guess it's called Kia of Pensacola. We've got right down here. And then we, of course, have Alan Turner. And if you were going to buy a brand new car, definitely would urge you to see our local dealers. Now, we specialize in, again, maybe a 2017 or 16 with very low miles on it. So if you want to take advantage of that Consumers Reports 27% depreciation in the first year, you might want to come to Frontier Motors. 27%, by the way, folks, equates to $9,200. If you buy a new car today, Consumers Reports did a survey in April saying that in 1 year from now, that car will lose an average of $9,200. Some way more than that. Some a little less. To talk about what our customers are saying about us. And Don, I know do we have a customer holding on?
We have a phone call from Bob.
All right, Bob. Thanks for calling the Frontier Motor Show. Let's go ahead and take your call, Bob.
Yes, sir. Just heard you talk about the Wrangler, and I've been looking at Wranglers, and you mentioned that the first-year depreciation is 27% approximately. Yes. What would be and I'm looking at buying a used one, what year would be the best one for me to look at as far as maximum value at the lowest price? Would like a 2014, 15, 16, which direction should I go?
Well, Bob, thanks for calling the show, by the way. And unfortunately, the Wrangler is the one, there's always the asterisk to what I talk about. And the Wrangler, unfortunately, Bob, last year had the best resale value of any car. It even outshone the Lexus, which traditionally has been the best for resale value. So when Consumers Report says that the average car loses 27%, count the Wrangler out of that. I'd almost say that if you were looking at a 15 or a 16 Wrangler, you're better off buying a brand new one.
Oh, okay.
No, and I hate to say that because I sell used cars for a living, and I actually have some 15 and 16s. Where I make out, Bob, when you're looking at depreciation, obviously one of the things is the older you go, the bigger the gap between a new one. Let's just say hypothetically you're looking at a 17, it's got a list price of $35,000. Well, if I had a 15, I'd be able to sell that vehicle for about $30,000. So there still is going to be a gap, but it's not as big of a gap as I normally would like to show you if it was a pickup truck or an SUV or a car. But there's still a gap there. So to answer your question, as far as where should you go as far as saving the most amount of money, the older you go, the lower you're going to pay for this car. As long, and if you want to get something under warranty, get a 14 model, maybe a late model 14 that's got, 15 to 20,000 miles on it. You're still going to save probably, my estimation, probably $5,000 over the price of a new one. And somebody might say, well, for $5,000, I'll buy the brand new one because it's only a couple of years older, hypothetically. Sure. And some other people say, no, $5,000, as long as I can find a real nice one, I'd still save the money. But again, the Wrangler is one of the few that are the exception to the rule where I would almost, if you're looking at a used 15 or 16, I'd almost tell you at least go check out Hill Kelly and see what they have for a brand new one. Now, I did hear through the grapevine, this was about 4 months ago, that they were very short on Wrangler inventory, which means that the dollar amount that you pay for them, there's not a lot of negotiating room. In other words, if the vehicle lists for 35, I'm thinking, well, you should be able to walk in there and buy it for 33. And from what I heard from a couple of customers, they weren't dealing that much on those vehicles anymore because the inventory was short. Now, that might have changed by now, so you definitely want to give Hill Kelly a call and see what they say.
Oh, okay. Well, I sure appreciate the information. That helps a lot. Thanks,
Bob. Thanks for calling. And, of course, one of the things I urged Bob to do if he's gone on his way to Hill Kelly, we're 2 blocks outside of Car City. Yeah. And the reason we're outside of Car City is because we were able to buy our lot 20 years ago for $100,000 rather than $1 million. And I figured I'd rather be outside of Car City and have people find us and save that overhead and be able to sell the cars for less of a profit and still stay in business than I would if I bought a multi-million-dollar mausoleum over on 29. And I still feel like that. And I was on 29 the other day with my bicycle. I'll tell you what, I'm jealous. They got some beautiful, beautiful buildings up there. I looked at the Nissan store and I looked at Vince Wibb's and the Honda store. I guess they're building a new Honda store. They got a new they got a new Audi dealership going on. I'm thinking, man, this is great. But then I contemplate that with how much is it going to cost? How much is the insurance going to go up? How much are the taxes going to go up? It's not just the price of the building. It's everything that goes with it that stays there for just about forever, as long as you own it. So what we decided to do is we added on a little bit at a time. We've had about 7 additions now as far as little lots, $25,000 here, $35,000 here. We're putting another small addition to the place right now, but they're all very small, and we're keeping that overhead down so that when you come in, I can make a profit on the car, but still beat the competition. And when Bob goes on the way to Hill Kelly, take a look at a new Wrangler, I've got them lined up, Bob. By the way, if you're still listening, I've got 7 Wranglers in stock. And you might want to stop in because one of the things that you can get on a Wrangler is even if my price isn't that much less, what if I've got $10,000 worth of equipment on a car? I took it at 2000, I think it's a 14 in trade on a Audi Q7. And the guy traded the Wrangler in because he had a back problem. The Wrangler was a little too stiff for him, so he needed something that rode a little bit small. He put $10,000 worth of stuff on this vehicle within the navigation system, the stereo system, the 4-inch lift kit, and the wheels and tires. $10,000 he put into this. And I don't pay a lot extra for that. So therefore, there are times where if you're going to take a base model and put all that stuff on it, that's when you look at a used one because you'll get that stuff for almost a third of the price. That's normally rule of thumb. Additional aftermarket equipment goes for 33% of what the retail is. And Don, we were talking about customer satisfaction before, and I'd take a little survey. I brought a couple of them with us that I wanted Don to share with the public, something to let the people know what some of our customers say about us, which is quite pleasing when I read the reviews. And the last one had about 15 of them on there. Every single one was 100%.
Right. Well, this is from Tina. Tina says a few friends often spoke highly of Frontier Motors over the years. I always thought that car dealerships are all about the same, some good, some not. Well, Frontier Motors is the best car buying experience I've ever had. The entire process was enjoyable. They have lots of practically new, slightly used cars to choose from. The staff, the manager, the finance department were quite personable. They were very friendly. My car was clean and ready to go. Thank you, Ray, talking about Ray Shy, one of your top salespeople there, and all the people at Frontier Motors. I know where I'll be doing my future car buying from now on. Let's grab another one. Here's Dana. This was my first positive experience ever buying a car. I've never felt as fairly treated at a car dealership before. I trusted my salesperson, Ray Shy, and I've never trusted a salesperson before.
That's sad.
That is. This was the first time I was able to close a car deal without the aid of a man. Was wonderful. That's a special gift that you get, and a nice touch too. Can't reveal that. Let me read one more here.
Okay.
Thank you for sending the photo. This is from Mike. Obviously, he asked for a photo. He said, I'm not a special media person. I don't have Facebook. I'm unable to create a Gmail account because I'm using a federal agency computer system. Be assured that my wife and I sing the praises of Frontier Motors at every opportunity that comes our way. As you know, purchasing an automobile can be a stressful experience. It shouldn't be, and you all do everything possible to remove that stress and make the experience most pleasant. We appreciated that greatly. Thank you for being there, and it's signed Mike.
According to J.D. Powers, they say almost 90% of American consumers dislike something about the process of purchasing a vehicle at a car dealership. 90% dislike it. Isn't that sad? And they surveyed 2,100 people, so this is not just they didn't talk to 3 people. For example, 61% of respondents said they felt they were taken advantage of at some point at the dealership. Millennials in particular expressed their disdain for dealership experience, with 56% saying they'd rather clean their homes and 34% saying they'd rather wait in line at the DMV than visit a car dealership. Nearly a quarter of the respondents from Generation X said they'd rather get a root canal than negotiate with a car dealer. Isn't that awful? Geez, what am I doing in a car business? Well, we're here to change that, folks. If you stop at Frontier Motors, if you've got a bad experience, my name is Ivan. I'm the only Ivan there. You make sure you seek me out, and we will make sure we make it right. And all of our salespeople and managers listen to this show so they know that the way we do business is different. They do it the same way. Now, I know a lot of car dealerships out there. I see these commercials on Channel 3. The other day, I counted over 20 car commercials in 1 hour. I don't even know how they get to the news. Everything's a car commercial. And they almost all say pretty much the same. You're going to be 100% satisfied. We do business a little bit different. Come and see us, come and see us. But I hear it from my customers that that's not always true. And I'm not talking about everyone. But like they said, 90% of them, of 2,100 respondents, just said that they disliked what happened when they went to the dealer. That's awful. I want at Frontier Motors to be 100% positive. And if it's not, I want to know about it. We're located at 230 Beverly Parkway. We only got a couple of minutes left. We've got a great website. If you want to know what we have inventory, you can go on our website. Just Google Frontier Motors. We're the first one that shows up. We've got 400 cars in inventory, 31 detailed photographs. They all have price. We also have a great Facebook. You can go on Facebook and like us on Facebook. We've got YouTube. This show also will be on YouTube. If you just go to YouTube and plug in Frontier Motors, you're going to see the show. So in case you want to share it with somebody or you missed it, you can watch it again for information. We are the guys to go to for free advice when you're in the market. We'll give you free Carfax report, free auto checks. We will tell you what to pay, and we'll tell you what we'll pay for your car, even if you don't buy a car from us. So if you're going to buy a brand new car and we can't talk you out of it, get a second opinion on that trade-in. It's free. That's Frontier Motors, 436-8080. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay. Come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier. We've got the right price. Frontier. We'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors. Low overhead.